Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hey, he said
That,
Vade
that,
fell off the map. He ain't know. I called him the other week. He said he ain't know where that number come from. He said he ain't know nobody hit Vade.
Oh
what
man.
you know them telemarketers and them bill collectors be using Vidalia numbers. That's why I'm like saying, hold up.
Heck yeah.
You know, back in the day, I had to speak for the speaking of program for the concerned citizens. You know, that side.
For real?
Yeah, yeah. They had me come to the pro. Yeah, the elders had me come. Yeah, concerned citizens of Cameron County, all that. So yeah,
Oh wow.
so yeah. We came up to Vidalia. We did some things up there. So, yeah. But I'm just saying now, you know, when you see them numbers, like, oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Like, oh, Glenville, like, oh Lord, this them people. That was like this them people.
Uh huh. I'm clicking the live button on Facebook and YouTube right now. Stream settings. Oh, oh yeah, we live on YouTube and Facebook right now. All right, we finna start sending out these links. Let me see. Facebook. I almost wish it was an easier way to send out these doggone links sometimes. You have to jump through so many loops. Yep, here we go. Okay, so I just tagged everybody in that link, so it should come across your Facebook page in just a second.
As a matter of fact, I just went ahead and sent it on out. I just
Mm,
went and shared it, so I can
yep.
get that one. All right.
So I forgot how to do my YouTube joint from the phone, but we can go ahead and start, man. Peace and blessings to everybody out there in the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch land. Uh, we got a very special guest this evening, Doctor Toure, and he's a doctor of African American Studies. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and we're gonna jump straight in and get to it. So if you don't mind, Dr. Torre, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. You know, we tell the family, you know, y'all gonna say brother Jamal or say Jamal. We ain't sweat none of that like that. So yeah, we're here.
Okay.
We right here in the coastal areas here doing our thing. We go wherever our people want us to go. That's what we do. We don't hold nothing back to be in one area, one location. We go wherever. If you want us up north, we up north. If you want us in Canada, we're gonna be in Canada. If you want us out west, Midwest, West Coast, we're gonna be there. If you want us in Mexico, we're gonna be in Mexico. The Caribbean, we're gonna be right there. We go wherever our people are. Because guess what? The bottom line is that we're one people. One people. We don't sweat none of that. We don't get caught up into that madness and the foolishness of other people. They often try to get us like that, and Jamal don't roll like that. I am Pan African. I believe in the unification of African people. I'll repeat, I believe in the unification of African people. So it don't matter where we are. We might joke and laugh about our little localities and stuff like that, locales, but that's all good. That's just showing love and having pride for where you are. But when it comes down to it, guess what? We are all African. And I don't miss no words about that. If you don't like that, that's on you. I don't waste my time with that madness. But yeah, glad to be here with you, brother. Staying dangerous in the house.
Yes, man.
indeed,
Appreciate
indeed.
it. Indeed. Indeed. So we named the podcast Stay Dangerous just because it's black men and it's black youth and black culture. We need to be on our toes on all four corners, as I say. You know what I'm saying? With education, and we need to, not only learn and read, but we need to articulate, be able to carry firearms and know where we stand and know who we are. So that's why I'm so glad to have you today, so we can, jump into it. I've been following Dr. Toure for, or Brother Jamal, for about a year or so now, man. And I just ended up reaching out to him last week to get see if he can come on the podcast. And to my surprise, he was like, "Yeah, I'm down with it." So the reason I like following him, man, if you go to his IG page, which is Day Clean Soul, or his Facebook page is Amir Toure. It's AmirToure. Did I do that right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. You will be educated on the history of Southeast Georgia and so much more, because he just dropped some knowledge yesterday on one of them about the tea. I think that was on the island.
Skidaway Island, yes, sir.
Skidaway Island, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we jump into it, can you give us a background history on like why did you even teach? I mean, why did you even start it or wanted to go in this direction as far as like teaching and like where you from and stuff like that?
I tell folks that for me, it was tied to something simple such as family. It was tied to family. Being around my grandparents, being around my mother, my father, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, hear them talk about family members. And that intrigued me as a young brother, that here I am in Savannah, Hilton Head, that I'm in a community here in Savannah where folks are talking about one another. When I say talking about one another, uplifting one another, putting it out there, showing respect and reverence, and a community coming together to nurture us. So that right there, that intrigued me. That made me feel special about who I am. And so that made me also want to know more about who I am and also who we're about. But then what occurred too, like I threw out, there were so many of us, what happened, we listen to other people to tell us who we are, and we roll with that, we go with that. And for me, I began to read some stuff that people were saying about who we are as a people, saying what they were saying about coastal Georgia, what they were saying about southern Georgia, southeastern Georgia. And then, and when I'm reading some of this stuff, it was just like that. It wasn't including my South Carolina side. And I'm like saying, wait a minute, we do the same thing, you know, in Pritchardville, in Okatee, in Bluffton, in Hilton Head. We do the same thing. And I'm like, why they ain't saying that? So I was disappointed in that. Then I read something about when they talk about what they're doing in southern South Carolina, you know, so I'm looking at that. Then bam, the same thing. That's silence, nothing. They're not saying anything about southeastern Georgia. They ain't saying nothing about us from Glenville, Tatnall County. They ain't saying nothing about us, you know, Candler County. They ain't saying nothing about Meta. They ain't saying nothing about they ain't saying nothing about, they ain't saying nothing about Bullock County. They ain't saying nothing about Swainsboro. They ain't saying nothing about Twin City. They ain't saying nothing about Effingham. They ain't saying nothing. I'm like saying, we do the same exact thing there.
Yeah. So
what that then told me, that disappointment then told me to say, yo, you letting somebody else tell you who you are. You know who you are, so tell everybody else who you are. So that was the rule, brother. That's what that made me go into this right here, knowing who I am. And when I'm around these people who's supposed to know who I am, and they spit out some vapid information, then my thing is, I tell people, that's when we come in and pimp slap them. We pimp slap they're mine. We pimp slap them, no, don't come to me with that foolishness. And see, some of us, what we do, we shy. We lower down to them because they have titles and positions. My people know, I say this straight up. It does not matter about no titles or positions. That means nothing to me. Because what the deal is for me is about this right here. I share this often with people, a concept called Egwe Pele. And for some people saying, what the hell is that he just said? Egwe Pele. This is the meaning. Translation is good conduct, good character, good speech. That's how we should live our lives. So right then and there. So your title gonna be based on that right there. To me, I ain't sweating that foolishness about you got the superficial title. I want to now see how you walk that walk, how you do that every day of your life, how you deal with your brothers and sisters. Then throw the other concept of mayat, which is truth, justice, righteousness, and reciprocity. You might call reciprocity karma. So that's how I go. I'm like, how you doing that? And then if some of my other people, you know, we're gonna hit them with God consciousness. We're gonna say that taqwa. Yo, fool, you got that God consciousness? If you ain't got it, then guess what? My job is to take you out with that foolishness right there when you spread that poison to my people. But if you don't have it, then it's my job to help pass it on. Because some of us gonna say this straight up. What is the duty of a civilized man or woman? To teach civilization to the uncivilized. to the uninformed. That's our job. So that's why God don't give us the blessing for us to have the intellect and have the knowledge just to hoard and keep it to ourselves or talk amongst ourselves in our own little circles. It's just like you're doing Just Stay Dangerous podcast. Yo, it's for you to put it out there for the people, to plant the seeds. And that's what Jamal does. Jamal is about planting the seeds, because I say, guess what? We plant the seeds, it's going to grow. And what it grows into, it's going to be something so magnificent that it's going to blow my mind, because that's how creation is. That's us. So that's our job. That's our role.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So I was scrolling down your IG and I went through it all. I went through it way, way back. Like I told you, the first video I seen, I think you was on a PBS special talking about the waters and stuff. You was in I guess your spiritual mask, your spiritual robes or whatever.
The African spirit of Day Clean.
Yes.
We have a tour company here called Day Clean Journeys here. We cover coastal Georgia and southern South Carolina. And then also I do living history under Day Clean, the African Soul. And so I guess now you just saying, I need you to get into it. Mm-hmm. What I am for folks, I am a JLA. That's DJELI. Now, what we do, again, when we are mistaken and got somebody else telling us who we are, people going to say, and here go these cultural people that they should be hip on their game, they should be aware, and they're going to talk about somebody being a griot or griot. I'm like, fool, we ain't call our people chronicle our history griots. That's a French word. We call them JLAs, Jolly Moussos, Wells. We are the ones who chronicle our history, our story, from the beginning of time to the present. And it's about providing that moral compass for the community as to you understanding your proper foundation. And so with me, I have combined the JLA with another tradition as the African spirit. That is because what happened on the continent, that you have these people, you all have seen it, where you see these masks, people wearing these masks. Mm-hmm. What's happening is that those people are recounting a part of the story of the people at times, or they're giving the people what the law is, how we're supposed to conduct ourselves, or we're teaching us how the morals that we're supposed to have. We're supposed to be that moral compass. And so what people don't understand with that in particular, now I do it a lot of ways. Some people know if I go to Hilton Head and some other places, I ain't got to paint my face. They know I'm just going to become somebody, and that's them, and they caught. Now other places you're going to see my face painted, or they're going to see me with stuff on my face, because the tradition is this: you have the face hidden or disguised, so then that way the person is not important. The message is the most important thing. So that's why, again, about who I am, that again, it's not about Jamal. That's why I'm saying about Jamal. But the JLA is about the message is the most important thing. So we don't get caught into the titles of position. So when I'm doing it, some people, I've done programs where people have been like, okay, we had like that spirit, and I'm sitting right around them. They talk about the stuff of the spirit, and they don't know who that is me. Then some other people know, and they say, that's the spirit right there. They said, that's the brother right there. And I'm just like looking like, and then they say, okay. And so, but that's what it's about. The message is the most important thing. And so, and that's why we're humble. And so the video talked about, it was on St. Simon's, and what occurred was that Travel Channel show. Yeah. They came here. They wanted to deal with Gullah Geechee culture. But then what happened, somebody said, well, we got somebody who can connect with their ancestors. And they were like, okay, let's talk to them. So, and what happened, the sister, Indian sister contacted me. She and I talked, and then I elaborate on things that I do. And so, she was like intrigued, but then also she went and looked at some stuff. She was like, yeah, you're the person we want. So that's when the sister came down, we were doing, and they were talking. And they, even then, I'll tell you this, brother, that most people, even when I go and tell them the stuff, and I'm being upfront about the stuff, they think it's that storytelling foolishness. They think it's that they think it's a game. Yeah. And so when I'm saying it, and that's how they're acting. So then when they saw the spirit now come out and do what the spirit did, the sister began to cry. And she later on told me, she said, those are real tears right there. She said, because again, same thing. I wasn't knowing what exactly, I had a certain idea, but when you began to talk about Bessie Coleman, you talking about Robinson Sack Abbott, you making these connections to California with me here in this area, that she wasn't expecting that. So now, that's what she said, that's when I began to feel it, because I was like, wait a minute. And I said, that's what it is. The Most High uses a conduit to spread the word. The ancestors use it as a conduit to spread the word. See, again, that's why they think it's something trivial. But other folks, I've had people going to do this. Brother came back from Sierra Leone, from Freetown, West Africa, Sierra Leone. And so the brother got back, we were in a meeting. And the brother then said, when I was in Freetown in the market, I saw people like Jamal walking around. And so when he said that, I looked at him and I understood what he was saying. But the other people weren't really grasping. He said, what Jamal is doing right here with us, they do that in Africa. And I'm looking like, yeah, he done got it. He now understands the magnitude of what's happened. See, they see us and see this right here. They just think it's something trivial. But some other people see it, they're like, yo, that's back home. That's us. We have home right here, right now. So yeah. So that's why we do.
So that kind of segues perfectly into one of the questions that I have about traditions that was carried over from, I guess, Western Africa or parts of Africa. That why do we look at them so like demonized? I know Western culture has put a very bad stigma on it. You know what I mean? So, but I in my research and in my studying, because when I came to the knowledge, I started watching people like Dr. John Henrik Clarke and stuff like that, and I was like, man, they really like teaching us some stuff that we can really build upon. So why is it like the cultural things that we did in Western Africa that we brought over here, it's such as the Gullah Geechee traditions, why are they so demonized or looked down upon?
And brother, and I say this, I tell people this, and I want Black folks to understand this in particular. Other people should understand it, but I want Black folks to understand this, because what they do to us, they make us disconnect from Africa. They make it seem like we have no connection at all. But I'm telling folks, when I'm doing my stuff, I'm showing people you are manifesting Africa right now. Culture evolves. That's what happened. Culture will evolve. And so we see the evolution of culture. We see it right now, but people don't go and talk about it like that. That's why it's my job, again, being that conduit, being that vessel from the Most High and the ancestors, to now let you all see, you all are manifesting Africa. And people try to say that Gullah Geechee people hold on to more African traditions than any other Black folks. I said, no, that's not correct. All Black folks hold on to it. We all, wherever we are, some of us are holding on to those traditions, even though somebody might not say it, but we are doing it. And get into directly to your question, I threw out to people about an African proverb. The proverb goes, the hunter will always be the hero of the story until the lion has a historian. Again, the hunter will always be the hero of the story until the lion has a historian. And when I shared it with some people, had this one brother, I was writing it on a board, and the brother when I'm about to turn back around, the brother then says, that's us. He picked up on, bam. And what's going on? We have been buying into the story of the hunter, acknowledging the story of the hunter, when it is absolutely incorrect. And so we are disconnected from who we are. So our foundation, which is the first foundation of humankind, we ignored it and rejected it when somebody else, they gonna steal your birthright. And so with us, when we say traditions coming from Africa over here, we reject it because somebody else has told us not to like it. But that goes to show you how illogical and how insane that is, when now what occurs is that they take your own stuff, they steal your stuff and claim it for themselves. Yeah. They feed it right back to you and you run with that. That's why I tell people, I'm like looking like, okay. Like, in fact, I told my folks at Georgia Southern, I teach at Georgia Southern, and last week in the class, this brother said something, and I'm looking at him like, yo, you picking up on, I said, logically. I said, see how you did not buy into the lie. But what happened for so many of us, we buy into the lies. We are told that we know nothing about God. Listen here. We are the first people on this planet. We're the first ones on this planet right here. So you're going to tell me that it took some other people to come along that now have us acknowledge that there's a higher power? You don't even realize, by you being the first people on this planet, you're the first one to create the rituals to acknowledge that there's a higher power. You're the first one to do that, not some other people. You didn't have to nobody had to tell you about God. You know God longer than anybody else. That's why it's in your spirit, it's in your soul, it's in your toes, it's in every hair follicle that you have, it's in your fingernails. You have understood what God has meant to all of us because that's your people. But we come over here, we have somebody tell us that somebody had to tell us about God. Somebody had to teach us about how to pray. Wait a minute. You're the first ones. You're the first ones that have language. So how is that even possible for somebody to say to you that you had to be taught how to pray? You're the first one to acknowledge it, that there's something greater than you. And I'm going to repeat that. You are the first ones, your ancestors are the first one to acknowledge that there's something greater than them. And they made that a part of their daily lives. That good conduct, that good character, and that good speech, that mayat, that taqwa, all of that comes from your ancestors, but they tell us we have not done anything. Then look at the sciences. They tell us that we haven't created anything. I'm like, yo, we've known about mathematics. We've been writing. That when we look at the thing we call paper, it comes from Africa. Tied to us, that the name paper comes from Africa. Papyrus. Yeah. That's us. And so what I'm going to do, because I got somebody who got some of my food, I'm going to still be talking about it, but y'all have to bear with me as I move to my house. So don't be tripping. I might go off, but I don't need y'all seeing everything in my house. I'm just saying, okay? Yeah, but with regards to that, we talk about spirituality. Then we talk about with regards to knowledge, the sciences. We understand that when we look at the sciences with regards to biology, just to share something with y'all that I hit people with this. I asked them, I said, do you know about the EPT? And a lot of folks like, EPT. I'm like, yeah, EPT. And I tell folks, I say the first EPT in the world comes out of Africa. And it's done by our ancestors, and the people like to say, what is the EPT? EPT is basically, let you all know, is early pregnancy tests. The first known early pregnancy test in the world is out of Africa. So how you going to try to tell me we don't know nothing about sciences? We don't know about biology. How you going to tell me we don't know about their body? How you going to tell me something like that? How you going to look at the pyramids and go and not try to say we don't know anything about geometry? We don't know anything about mathematics and engineering. How is that even possible when that is our story, who we are? I'm like, come on now. But that's what happened with many of us when we buy into the madness of other people, and that's what has gone on. So now we come over here. I tell folks, our ancestors were brought here because they had the knowledge of the Trinity. And I ask most people about the Trinity, they're going to say, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I said, no, it's cotton, rice, and indigo. People are like, what? I said, yes, they had the genius of growing cotton in Africa, weaving into cloths. They were growing indigo, which is a green or brown plant. They make a blue dye. They're growing the Asian rice and the African rice in Africa. And the Spanish said our ancestors had azúcar, that they had the genius of sugar. So how you going to tell me we have not created anything? See, that's that madness, that's foolishness. And that's why I tell people, that's why it's for us to talk about this and put that out there, not to be like the other people, because they lead us astray. They lead us astray, and then guess what? When they lead you astray, they give you a name for you to call yourself, and you then run with that. Now understand it's about dehumanizing you, because see, when I dehumanize you, I can make you become a creature. And see, when I know when I got you, when you take the very word that I used to dehumanize you, that you embrace and say that you claim it for yourself, that is madness. So how the sons and daughters of God, the first of creation, now reducing themselves to being dehuman. Ain't that a shame? And that's a part of why they got to make sure you don't have no connection to Africa. You have no connection to your humanity. You have no connection to your greatness. And that's why I tell folks, when we walk around here and I see each one of you of African descent here in the Americas, I know that somebody in your family survived this journey. And I tell folks, only the best of the best survived the journey from the continent to the Americas, wherever they are in the Americas. And that I say, if you see somebody of African descent in the Americas, that means at least one of their ancestors survived. Only the best of the best survived. And too few Black folks here in the Americas understand they are descendants of the best of the best. When you understand that, you carry yourself differently, treat each other differently, expect more from yourself and your brothers and sisters. That's why when them Negroes be trying to hate on me, I say, Negro, you hate yourself. That's what's going on. Because if you understand who you are, then you know that I'm your brother, I'm your sister, that I look out for you. I don't try to destroy you because I know somebody in your family did something that nobody in this world has ever seen. African people, what happened to our ancestors, no one in the world has seen anything like that. So when I see you, guess what? I see the best of the best. That's what you got to have in your mind and your heart and your soul. That's why I said that Egwe Pele. That's what it's all about. So yes.
And you preaching today, boy. You just dropped some bombs on me, man.
I know you probably ain't know. Jamal can talk.
Oh,
I'm just saying, I can talk.
Hey, that's good, man, because you really dropping some bombs on us right here. Because a lot of this stuff, like that early pregnancy test, that was
Yeah.
a bomb. I was like, what?
Not the pregnancy test. Oh,
exactly.
Guess what? And it's written about in medical treatises, in medical books going back to ancient Africa. So it ain't like it's something brand new. It is something tied to who we are. So that was it. You're going to tell me that we don't have no knowledge. You will try to tell me that foolishness. But now guess what? Some of us buy into it. Those of us who are so intelligent, those who are so lost, and with regard to degrees and all that other badness like that, and titles and positions. But yes.
Man, that's dope, man. That makes, I don't know. I've always been attracted to the pyramids in some way, form, or fashion. I just like the way they look. I can sit down and look at pictures of them and just be like amazed, and I never knew why. But the more I, dug into the knowledge and started understanding a lot more, it made me proud of who I was and where I come from. Because, like you said, one of our ancestors did survive, and I know where my father's lineage starts from, the plantation that they came off of. I hadn't sat down and got the information, but I want to do it for both sides of my family to track it all the way down. So that's one of the things that's in my near future. It's got to get done for me, because I want to know, Smurf, you got some questions?
Oh yeah, man. I know he was talking about, us not knowing our lineage and our history due to us being miseducated throughout the history of our existence here. And today's time, should African American children, should there be a period of time before they go to regular school to where they need to get homeschooled on African history first, their African heritage, then go to real school? Because I feel like that can kind of give them a nice base to come from, instead of just like how we started from the second grade. We learned about all the presidents, our oppressors' history before we even established fully who we were. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So should we have an African base first at home and then enter the regular school curriculum?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And this is an educator right here, Sister Adele Biles. She just came and got some on food. And this is the Princess Amira right here. So yeah. So this is the podcast.
What's going on?
Podcast.
How y'all doing?
So I'll go back again. But yes, absolutely, because I'll share this, that you have some people, what they're going to do. Let me say that European Jews, Caucasian Jews, what they do, they used to have what was known as Saturday schools. So what they would do, they would make sure that they taught their children a part of their culture and their history while here in the United States, and not part of, they were giving it to them. But here go African Americans, we don't go and do that at all. So when you talk about the homeschooling, I'm like saying, yes, even if you go and send them to the public school, still do some of that right now. Give them that foundation. That is crucial, because when they walk into those walls of those classrooms, guess what? Most of them not hearing nothing about them. Not hearing nothing about them. And so then they buy into the lies. That's why I say again, the hunter is not telling that story. The hunter is not telling the story with regards to their greatness, but not letting our children know their own greatness. That they walk out, and now, and brother, what you're saying, I'm gonna tell you, because I've shared this with people recently. I said that I have seen how we function, even those of us as we're growing up, that from pre-K to kindergarten to primary, that is elementary school, to high school, to even college, we have never seen us in positions of authority in the classrooms.
Right.
So what has happened, we have, in particular, saying, as y'all started out, with brothers, with black males, have not seen us in these positions with regards to giving the light, illumination, getting us to now understand who we are. So can you imagine, again, psychologically, from pre-K, kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school, you have not seen a black man in a position of authority as an educator. I'm talking inside the classroom. They might have been a principal, but not inside the classroom, feeding that knowledge directly to that youth. So that's why now we got to reclaim our story. We got to do this, because now I'm going to go back in time. It was shown that back in the 1980s and 1990s, that when African Americans were operating what somebody might call today like charter schools, private schools, or say doing homeschooling, they talked about the mental acumen and gifts of African American children, because in those schools they gave them a sense of pride of who they are. So I'm just saying, if you can't do the homes, I mean, if you have to still send your child to a public school system, a private school system, still at home, school your children. And if you can do homeschooling, have a home, because there are homeschooling organizations and co-ops, feed our children into them. Because again, it's about them having a proper foundation. And for some of us, we don't have that foundation. So that's why when I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror. When I look in the mirror, I ain't feeling me. And because I ain't feeling me, when I see the two of you, I ain't feeling y'all. So that means that what happens, because I ain't feeling me and I ain't got no love for me, then I ain't got no love for y'all. So that means that I could cause harm to you. I could destroy you. I could cause all type of misery to you without any shame or no compunction. But now guess what? For me personally, when I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, God damn, I'm loving me. I am loving me. Yeah. And I'm saying, hot damn, I'm great. And so guess what? Let's be realistic. You know, go PRT. Hot damn, I'm great. And so guess what? Because I feel that way about me. When I see the two of you, guess what? I got that same feeling. That's that best of the best. Now, guess what? So that means that when that brother say, hey, can you do my show? I don't gonna have no attitude like, well, you know, you gotta give me advance notice. I'm like, yo, man, I'm down with you. I'm down. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's what it's about. Because when I'm feeling myself, that's what it is. And when we give that to our children, guess what? Our children soar. And I tell people this clearly. I said that most of us do not know American history. We know American mythology. And we spit it out to other people. We feed it to other people, the mythology. And I say, and guess what? When you got the mythology, you're torn up and tattered. But when you got the history, guess what? You soar. And I've seen that myself personally when I have given young brothers and sisters the history. And guess what? It might not be all of them, but it be a whole bunch of them though, who now go plant them seeds and they begin changing the world. And I've seen that from the youth, and I've seen that to young leaders right now and leaders of today who are in college. When you not infuse that in my people, guess what? They take it to another level. And all I do is just sit back and look and watch it like, God, they doing that. And I have a sense of pride and a sense of love. Ain't no envy, no jealousy. It's about they doing it. And I said, I can only imagine what else they're going to be doing. That's that power. That's that fire.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's why I be pressing my kids. Everybody like, why you always making your kids do something? Hey, I got to, because they got to know the stuff that I didn't know about Marcus Mosiah Garvey, about Dr. Joseph Ben Clark, and all those people like that. It's the knowledge that's in there, stuff that we still need to be carrying on in tradition, W.B. Du Bois and such. So I make them do like little reports. You know, you got to make sure you give me 10 facts that I don't know about these people. And if you can't give me those 10 facts that I don't know about them people, then you got to go back and do it again. So, and they was like, I guess at first it was kind of getting frustrated, but now they kind of see it, you know, with all the murdering of black young men like Trayvon Martin and stuff like that. That's kind of around the time I started doing it to him, because my son asked me, he was like, Daddy, who are we supposed to call if we can't call the police for help? And I was like, boy, I got to do something. Yeah, I got to, you know what I'm saying? Figure something out. Let me show them other things other than this. So now I get to the point of when something like that happens, we break the whole situation down. I make sure they don't watch the videos because of fear conditioning. You don't want them to be scared all the time and stuff like that. So yeah, so we be building on stuff like that, and it amazes me sometimes that I be talking about some stuff and they'll regurgitate something or they'll add something to it. So it'd be amazing, man. I tell people all the time, don't limit your kids for what you think they're ready for. Just give them all, and they're gonna show you what they're ready for. You know what I mean? So
and that's what other people do. Other people do that. Yes. Yeah. Other people, their children know that they can do whatever. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. That support is very very needed. You know what I mean? So you got to give them support all the way around the board, but you also got to give them that knowledge, because without that knowledge, you know, they can sink. But if I give it to them, they can at least float. You know what I mean? Right. I don't want them to drown.
Exactly. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So, like you was giving the fact about the Skidaway Island and the tea. Could you run down some more facts about the coastal area that we should be knowing? Because I think that was such a great point that the Skidaway Island provided all the tea and sugar. I mean, the tea and
I had
other
Skidaway
stuff.
Island. Generally, they're going to say that the first tea in what we know is the United States, the colonies, is done in Charleston, South Carolina, Charleston County. But I tell folks, no, it was actually on Skidaway Island. That's where you had the first tea produced in what we know the United States. If you want to talk about cotton, cotton is the first cotton that's successful in South Carolina is on Hilton Head Island, on Hilton Head. But then I throw out something that's even more important to us with regards to liberation, that the first underground railroad. Now, most people hear underground railroad, they think Africans going up north. We tell folks, no, the first underground railroad went south. It went south to a place called Gracia Real Santa Teresa de Mose. Some people are like, what? It's better known as Fort Mose or Fort Mose, which is right outside of St. Augustine, Florida. So folks are going down the field trips down to St. Augustine, ain't know nothing about Fort Mose. That's the first free town of Black folks in the entire, what we know as the United States. Yeah.
Wow.
It's down there. It ain't no Jamestown, Virginia, and all the other stuff like that. Excuse me, when you talk, I'm gonna get something about Jamestown, Virginia, but it ain't these other places that here's a free Black town that's right there in northern Florida, right on the cusp of St. Augustine right here. Fort Mose is right there. In fact, they are down there protecting Spanish Florida, Black men who escaped out of South Carolina and Georgia who go down what we know as the Florida. And so also they got their families with them. That's the first underground railroad. That is in the 1600s and 1700s. And now just throw something out there. Those Africans are there at Fort Mose, but later on, them and the Spanish will leave and go to a place called Cuba. So guess what I tell people this? I say, when you from Cuba, guess what? I say that some Black folks from Cuba, they cannot go directly back to Africa. Guess what they got to do? For them to do their own, if they say their genealogy, they got to leave from Cuba to come to Florida and Georgia and South Carolina, and then go back to Africa. So see how that connection is, that when you love yourself, that you get, and you look at your brothers and sisters, you got that love for them. That's what it's about. So also, when I say Jamestown, Virginia, now most of us, and all of us been on this thing, this 1619 project stuff, and I'm not discounting that. It was a good thing. That was a good thing. Understand that. But then again, let's deal with the history that the first Africans in what we know as the United States today, they are not in Jamestown, Virginia. The first ones coming to a place called coastal Georgia and coastal South Carolina at a certain point, 1526. So that is almost 100 years before Jamestown, Virginia. Yeah, right here in coastal Georgia. So I tell people, I say, when you are in coastal Georgia, coastal South Carolina, even northern Florida, when you're in this area, you are now in the Holy Land of African America. This is the beginning right here. So see, guess what? Even when we write our own story, we follow the stories from the British. Not looking at the full story. When you have to look, you gotta look at the Spanish and the Portuguese. You gotta look at that. Look at them also. But then we got the blinders on. The hunter is still telling you the story. So we look at that. Then I tell folks, I say, listen, and I hit them with this right here. And now some of y'all say, he going back in time. What about something right now? Then I got something for your behind too. Here in Savannah, Georgia, there's a neighborhood called Yamacraw. Now, the day people hear Yamacraw, they think about the projects, not knowing that Yamacraw was a historic Black community that went from the river to the visitor center, went miles down, that went from MLK, used to be called West Broad Street, over to the Viaduct. So it's a huge community here. All right. Then there's another community, to another Black neighborhood that's 2 neighborhoods over from Yamacraw called Woodsville. Now, in coastal Georgia, there is a child that is born on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, Glenn County, Georgia, basically all that, Brunswick and all that. The child is born on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, but raised in Savannah, Georgia, in Yamacraw and Woodsville. The child goes to school here. And just as my brother threw something out, that's why I'm going to help y'all make that connection, or just throwing out a connection too. Because I tell them, no matter what you throw at me, we can weave some stuff together. So this child is raised in Savannah by his stepfather, because his father had passed away on St. Simon. So His mother marries his stepfather, and they have children. And so this child is raised in Yamacraw and in Woodsville in Savannah. He goes to school here in Savannah. And at one point, he is attacked based on his complexion. Because again, Negroes not loving themselves attack him because he had a dark complexion. His stepfather tells him, now his stepfather would be considered a mulatto. His stepfather tells him, you are the best. You are it. Don't you what? You are my son. You are my child. I have adopted. You are mine. So you are the best. So you don't worry about them not giving you awards because of your complexion. Because that's what they were doing. They were giving him awards because his complexion. He was beaten down because he had a dark complexion. But his stepfather, see how in the house, is not giving him that knowledge. Yo, this is who you are. And so he then goes on to Clafton University, as we know it today, and Hampton University, as we know it today, and gets his degree from Hampton. Then he goes to the Kent Law School in Chicago and gets a law degree. So he becomes an attorney, and he's up north. So now I tell people, I say, don't play this game with me talking about where we are, like the South is worse than the North. I'm like, hell, all of it's bad. It don't matter. Like Malcolm said, south of Canada is the South, you know. So hey, that foolishness. So he's in Topeka, Kansas. He's up north, but this man he is now a man, and he's an attorney. But he's told that it is not possible for a black man to earn a living as an attorney up north. He like, damn. He said, I can't make no money here. They let me know this, and this is up north. So what's going on in Savannah, Georgia at this time? His stepfather has now started a newspaper business in Savannah called the Woodsville Times. Here go a black neighborhood, create their own newspaper. That's some powerful stuff right there. A black neighborhood create his own newspaper. His stepfather did that. But then his stepfather just ain't doing that. And just as my brother said earlier, his stepfather has started a school too called, again, this is late 1800s, early 1900s. The school is called the African Union School. Wait a minute, Jamal, what you talking about? You say black folks were saying African back then? Hell yeah, I am saying that. So his stepfather created a school that they realized we got to teach our own. So he learned the newspaper business in Savannah, and he was going to work with the school, but then he decided, you know what, I'm going back up north. So he goes back up north and starts his own newspaper business at the turn of the century, right after the turn of the century. And he has his papers. So, of course, he's from the South. What is he going to do? He's going to send his papers, not just in the North, but send them down South. So when they come down South, people began to notice that in the newspaper, they had ads that said, leave the South, come up North. No longer face discrimination, come for jobs. That newspaper set in part what you know as the Black migration or the Black exodus. Black folks began leaving the South because of that newspaper, going up north, going to Philly, Danbury, Hartford, New York, Buffalo, Rochester, Detroit. They're going up there right now. And that newspaper is called the Chicago Defender newspaper, founded by Robert Sinstack Abbott. Robert Abbott, born on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, raised in Savannah, Georgia, and now caused the black folks to now leave the South and go up north. So I say to any of y'all, when y'all gonna try to come at me, you better understand you up north right now because one of my homeboys made it possible for y'all now, your ancestors to be inspired to go up north. And so that's what happened. But now here go the deal. Folks, like I said, they're going to Detroit. They're going to Lansing. They're going up north. They're going to these places. But Robert Abbott really is trying to get black folks to come to Chicago. Because he called the Black migration as in American history and Black history called the Black migration or the Black exodus. Robert Abbott called it the Great Northern Migration. And so guess what happens? Those black folks, when they go up north and he gets them to come to Chicago, they go into a neighborhood in Chicago called Low End. That's a historic black neighborhood in Chicago. Now, some people, when I say low end, they're like, low end, but somebody else goes, yeah, because there's another name for low end if you go to Chicago. It's also called Bronzeville. People in Chicago, yeah, Bronzeville. So here you go, Robert Abbott now getting black folks and now go to Bronzeville. And as I tell folks to show you the power of this right here, how it hits us even today, those people, when they go to Bronzeville or low end, they have children. And then their children will have children. Then their children and their children, some of them will move out of Bronzeville and they move into a neighborhood called Hyde Park. People say, yeah, I know Hyde Park. And when they go to Hyde Park, they go and they meet a man right next door to Harold's Chicken Shack. And that man that's right next to the House Chicken Shack, they'll elect him state senator in Illinois, Barack Obama. And when I shared this back in 2016, a member of the Sensac family, some member of the Sensac family was with me, and she said, Jamal, you tell people that? I said, yeah, I'll tell them that. She said, that's what Barack said. He would never be president of the United States if it was not for Robert Sensac Abbott and the Chicago Defender newspaper. That one child changed the entire world we live in today. And that impacts us even today. So when I look at Barack, I go and say, that's Robert Sensac Abbott right there. My homeboy from Savannah, my homeboy from St. Simon, my homeboy from Yamacraw and Woodsville. My homeboy made that happen. But now that's Barack Obama. But guess what? I asked people this too. I said, what is the oldest black parade in the United States? Most people like, I don't know, a Juneteenth, something. I said, no. It is called the Bud Billiken Parade. When I say Bud Billiken Parade, people from Chicago are like, whoa, I used to be in that. You know what that is? The Bud Billiken Parade is a children's parade. It's a parade for children. And the parade was founded by Robert Sensac Abbott. Robert Abbott understood from his experience in Savannah, Georgia, because he talked about on Sundays, after church on Sundays, they would have ice cream socials for the kids on Sundays. He saw how the community took care of the kids on Sundays, but throughout. He understood that you gotta take care of your kids. You gotta take care of your future. So when you take care of them, your future is bright. When you disconnect them, guess what? Your future is deplorable. And guess what? Guess what? He learned that in Savannah, Georgia. And those folks from Chicago be like, oh, I said, y'all had thought y'all ain't had no connection here. To see all the connection y'all got right here. So that's why I throw that out to say, why is coastal Georgia so significant? Why is Southeast Georgia so significant? It's because of stuff like that. Because I just throw it out there. When you talk about 40 acres of the mule, that comes out of Savannah also. 40 acres of the mule come out of Savannah. And some people say, well, they took the land back. But guess what? Some of our ancestors, which we know in Tatnall County, we know in Candler County, we know in Swainsboro, Bullitt County, Effingham, Newington, all that. We know for a fact that some of our ancestors, even though they may have taken the land from some of them, guess what they did? They went back because they had tenacity. They went back and got some of the land for some of us right now, up there in Candler County and Glenville, all that, Vidalia. We know for a fact some of us got land in our families that go back to the 1800s. Where do you think that came from? 40 acres and a mule. The tenacity. It didn't matter. It didn't matter that they had snatched the land. Your ancestors had the heart to say they might snatch it from us, but we're going to go back and get something. And they did that. That's what I'm saying. When you know your story, you understand that's who you are. That's how you function and carry yourself.
That's deep, boy. Boy, that's deep right there, boy. We connected.
Yes, sir.
Very much connected, man. Very much connected.
You had asked a question about education. That's why I like, I was just waiting. I was like, hell, and that's it. We teach us because we teach our greatness.
Yeah. That's why I tell my kids every day, I raise geniuses, nothing else.
You know, that's crazy when you was breaking down the whole, a lot of the first Africans that came here was in the Georgia, South Carolina, Florida areas. When I did my ancestry DNA test, they had a specification that, my bloodline traced back to those areas. Like it was just like a group of Africans that was concentrated in the South Carolina, Georgia, Florida areas. And I was like, I know there was a population there, but it was like they was almost had them like they was their own nation of people, like their own state. So now that you said that, it all makes sense now.
It goes back in time, but also now this goes right back to the thing we discussed in the beginning about our people are brought over here because they had genius. They were not illiterate people. They were not stupid people. These people, they were brought over here, stolen. As there's a Cuban poet, his name is Juan Massano. He called us the stolen people. He said that we are our ancestors of the stolen people. So they were stolen from Africa, brought here because they had the genius in their minds. And that genius was not going to be working for themselves right now. It was going to help somebody else get wealthy. And that's what that was about. And so now you look at, when you say your people all along the South Carolina coastal area, because guess what? We were the majority. You know, the majority because we were the ones that we were the human assets for them, and also the human machines.
Mm.
We were the ones. We were
Yeah.
the computers. We were the ones. We were the ones. We were assets for them. Because again, imagine you are an human asset and also a human machine. You are producing for them, but you also are an asset for them to have wealth. That's some power. See, I can't use the language I would use normally because I don't want to mess with y'all podcast, but that's some powerful stuff right there.
Yeah.
Powerful to think about that and understand that. So that way when you walk with a sense of pride and knowing who you are. You don't have no shame about who you are. You don't bow down to nobody. You don't have no fear of nobody.
Mm. Man, that's deep, boy. I mean, that's some stuff that we need to know, and that's another reason why I really wanted to bring you on here, because we don't catch that information in this area. I just found out this week one of the schools that I actually grew up playing basketball in, which was the Boys and Girls Club, was the all black high school, and it's the only state champion won for Vidalia in that gym.
That's right.
Right
That's
there on
right.
MLK, fam. Right there on
Right.
MLK. I did not know that, brother. The whole time my childhood, we riding by it, playing ball in it. Everything's going on around that area, and I did not know that. So the only state championship won for Vidalia was won in that gym.
So we cursed. That's what you're saying. That's why we cursed in these sports.
Hey, that might be why we curse, because they don't. And then I found out as well that they so-called, I'm gonna put this in air quotations, they lost all the trophies that the school won. So can't nobody find the trophies that school won. This is why I like talking to the OGs in the community.
Right. And that's crucial about that. That is absolutely crucial, because what happened, see how you didn't get disconnected, that you didn't even realize that in your own environment, greatness was right there. Greatness was right in your own environment. And that's something that you can use all the time to say, we can talk about, we were the ones that brought championships to Vidalia statewide, that we did that. And so that should be recognized.
Yep. That's why
so that we're not class.
That's why I like my granddaddy's story so much, man. I'm gonna get to tell it one day. I just want to get all the facts, though. I really want to get all the facts. He passed before I came along and was born, but the stuff that he left behind, I ain't gonna say stuff, but the evidence of the go-getter, the 10 acres of land, the house, the stores that he left behind, you know what I'm saying? It's a legacy behind that, and he did it for a reason. So I'm gonna really dig down in my family history and find out about that stuff on my father's side. On my mama just said my father's daddy and his family came from South Carolina area. That's the first time I heard that. I didn't know that, Mom. That's dope. That's deep. That's probably why auntie them up that in. That make most sense. All right, so the next question is
Dickinson High School?
Huh?
Was that Dickinson High School?
I don't know what the name of high school was. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find that out. I'm gonna have to find out.
I put programs up in Vidalia, so yeah, that was my mind. I was like trying to go back, trying to think. So yeah.
See, Dickinson is out. JD Dickinson is out. Not middle school.
That's our primary school.
Yeah, the primary school. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a principal. He was a principal there down at Vidalia at one point.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I'm saying he was. I'm telling you, he was. Yeah. Yeah.
My man been traveling back and forth all through the Southeast region.
Man, that's what we tell people that I'm gonna throw something out there right now. You know, one of the most disrespectful things that I've been experiencing recently, that when I talk about this self-hatred stuff, these people, these Negroes with these titles, Negro peons, the Black Anglo-Saxons, the Negro intellectuals, they have tried to minimize even the stuff that I do and try to say that I can only talk about this right here. I'm like, fool. Again, can't use the language that I would normally use. That here go, like I said, people from Vidalia. I throw something out there about Vidalia. Like I said, Dickinson, you know, you like saying, wait a minute. Dan, are you expecting from somebody from Savannah, Georgia to know something like that?
Nope.
No, you're not thinking that. But I'm like trying to convey people. I say, when we say we are a jailer, that's what it's about. That's it. I don't necessarily know everything about an area, but I know enough pieces for us to make them connections. And that's why I say it's disrespectful. These people when you talk about detached from Africa, Negroes detached from Africa right now. Because I say, when you're African, you respect as we say, the JLAs. You respect those people who got some of your story. Because again, it's helping us now arrive to where we need to be and to thrive.
So Dickerson High was the name of that high school. It was called Dickerson
High.
Yep.
Dickerson. And now I'm trying to think. Because again, the concerned citizens of Canada County were the ones who had me come up, and that's why, bam, I had to hear some of the stuff. But guess what? The story that you're telling is a similar story over in West Georgia. Same thing. That here goes that one you said about the trophies and stuff. Other schools, which were the African American schools in throughout Georgia, and I dare say throughout this entire country, that's what they were experiencing. That when now it come down to having those trophies about what we had done, now gone. So that means that makes it seem like we have never achieved anything. And I'm not saying no. Rub it in their face and let people know openly. Say, listen, we are the reason why that you even can say you got a state championship. So you need to show respect and honor to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I found out as well that we don't even own that building. We don't own it. as long as
I thought Greg Johnson owned it.
Negative. Out of all that money that was spent when the Boys and Girls Club there, they didn't even put a small church down there. Matter of fact, they had the back in the day when they had the little school lunch program things for the summer. I forgot what they call it, but we can go down there and get you a little lunch, little peanut butter jelly sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
the same guys owned it the whole entire time. I don't know his name, but that's one of the missions we on. I'm gonna just throw that out there. That's one of the missions we on. So that was another important reason why I went to the Brother Greg Johnson's I guess introduction to for the mayoral candidate. I found out too that we had two other black guys that went for mayor back in the 1960s and 70s. The OGs were speaking on that. I got it on film. I'm gonna pull that up and I'm gonna chop that up too.
Yes, sir. You got to.
It's a lot of history that we don't know at all, man. But I want to get into I want to get into the spiritual side just a little bit. That's one of the many questions that I have, right? So when we're stolen from West Africa and different parts of Africa and we get to the States, how did we lose so much traditional spirituality when it comes to African spirituality? How do we just kind of dismiss that and pick up Christianity or Baptist or Islam in so many ways? Because I know at a time that Northern Africa was pretty much Islam for a while, but I can't remember the dates and so I ain't gonna get deep into that. But like, how did we lose our spirituality, so to speak, and then adopt other worldly religions, so to speak?
Well, let me go on through this out there and share this with you all and share this with the audience. That no matter how people might want to try to play the games and stuff like that and have these issues, the majority of people who came from the continent were traditional believers. They had traditional religion, spiritualities. Right behind that, the second, right behind them, you got traditional believers, but right behind, running a tight second with that, you have African Muslims. Because even it's not just Western Africa. So now, just to throw something out there, for my family, a part of my DNA is tied to a Mende woman from Sierra Leone. And this time period is going to be, they're going to have some traditional spirituality, but also going to have Al-Islam. But what happens then after that, you have a small number of Christians also. Because the game that was played, they tell you that Africans, they will not put Christians in captivity. That's a lie. Because some of the ones that we know that was trying to get the Fort Mose were Catholic. That's right. The ones that they brought over, they were soldiers in Africa and fighting over in Africa, and they were Catholic. So Christians were putting Christians in captivity. So that's why I tell them, don't play this game with me like that. Just trying to talk about one group of people. Y'all put anybody, as long as you are black, as long as you are African, they put you in captivity. So that's why I say we can't get caught up into these titles about what our spiritual foundation is. Excuse me, understand, Europeans made sure And then don't come to me about, well, African soul that's in the captivity. Then I'm asking this question. I'm gonna move it to your spirituality question, but I want to throw this out there too, because I know how some people probably listening to me, they're thinking, African soul that's in the captivity. So our ancestors. I asked this question to people today. I said, so how many of y'all, those who are listening who asked that question, how many of y'all sell drugs? And when I say that, they're like, what? I said, all right, how many of y'all in here right now sell drugs? Then I said, stop lying, raise your hand. It's about all 500 of y'all inside here sell drugs, right? They're like, no, it's not. I said, so only a few people sell drugs? Yeah, not everybody. Majority of us don't sell drugs. So why you take that stupid mentality with regards to your ancestors? The majority of them did not sell anybody into captivity. They fought to prevent you from being put into captivity. So with that stupid stuff, that madness that the intellectuals and others get caught, the lazy historians, the lazy academicians, they get into have y'all scorn like that. I'll say no. But now going on with regard to our people, what happens, and I tell folks, there is fear that happens over here. And when I say fear, I'm saying a descriptive fear. You have people coming over here who understand what time it is. Like I say, we are the ones that created. We were the first ones to acknowledge that there's a higher power. We are the ones, our ancestors are the ones who do that. And so with that, they're coming with that. But you have other people understanding that you cannot put these people in captivity and keep them in captivity in peace if you let them keep thinking like that. You got to disconnect them. Because if I let them understand that they're going to think about their God being tied to them, it's going to be a problem because they're going to realize that their God is going to tell them to fight against evil. Or their God has already told them that. They're going to have that inculcated in their minds, not to accept all of this right here. So what we got to do, we got to start breaking them psychologically. We got to start hitting them. And they're doing it a variety of ways, and then we have to have a full conversation about all that, just on that. So they begin hitting our ancestors. And then the group that they're going to make sure they're going to be feeding that madness to are the ones being born right here. The ones who are born right here, this is all that they know. This is all the life that, see, somebody coming from the continent, they have experienced freedom. They know freedom. They understand what this is about. So they're going to be caught up. But then what you got to do, you got to engage in sheer terrorism. I'm going to repeat, sheer terrorism. You got to be barbaric. That's very thing they try to say about your ancestors. They got to not do that. And they're supposed to be intelligent people. They got to be the ones that, they are the civilized ones, but they got to engage in the stuff. They got to create ornaments and put on the necks of your ancestors. They got to put it on their arms. They got to cut feet off. They got to cut hands off. They got to cut legs off. They got to cut penises off. They got to then cut breasts. And say, oh, some people are like, what you talking about? Yes, that type of stuff happens. We got to go get somebody because we see a girl looking beautiful. We got to go up to that girl that may be 13 years old, which this is documented, and we got to go slit her her Achilles tendon, so that now when she now has a limp when she walks. Because I'm letting everybody know, you now belong, I can do whatever I want to you. So now what happens, guess what? I'm now going to make you detach from the creator. It's not going to be all of you, but it's going to be enough of you that you're going to buy into that.
Yeah. And
so I threw something out there along the Savannah River. At one point along the Savannah River, there were some people who were teaching something we call Ethiopianism. They were focused on Ethiopia. So even with the gods, they might go and say Christianity, but somehow our ancestors were focused on Christianity that was African-centered, African-based. Yeah. When they were looking at the Old Testament, they were looking at the Old Testament like this, like the Hebrews inside the Old Testament that they talk about, that's us. That's us. And so here go Caucasians now saying, we cannot let them have Christianity. If you give them Christianity, let them have Christianity, they're going to be focusing on emancipation, liberation. They're going to fight. They're going to think about freedom. But some other people say, no, we can give them Christianity, but we're not going to give them Christianity that's going to tell them about that. We're going to tell them about slaves, obey your masters. This is your fate right here. We're going to tell you about the curse of Ham. Again, we're going to give them all of that right there. And guess what? You might have those over there who thinking about that independent stuff, but you're going to have this other group over here who are going to identify with, again, the pain and the punishment and that they are so lowly. That's what happened with regards to when our ancestors come over here. So they're not breaking these folks who are traditional believers, some of them, but some of them remain steadfast because we're talking about how if you are in, again, southeastern Georgia, it was not unusual to see African men with their hair cut in styles of the crosses in top of their head, which was not a Christian cross. It was tied to African traditional principles like Tendwa Inza Congo. That again, tied, holding some of them in place with regard to saying we are independent of this. Then you got the African Muslims, and this is what's so crazy to me. African American Christians don't even realize that a lot of what we call Black Christianity is tied to non-Christian traditions coming from African Muslims and traditional believers. We don't identify with none of them. And so, but we're not understanding that how you practice your Christianity is tied to back to Africa. When we want to get baptized, guess what? We didn't want to get baptized inside a pool inside the church. We want to get baptized inside the water. Why is that? Because if you go to West Africa, guess what? We do annual baptisms. That's being reborn. That's traditions of our people. When we go and say, Mai de Agua, mother of the water, those traditions go back to us, to Africa, that we are doing this, that we are identifying, that we do it annually, not one point in our life. That when we do the ring shot, going around counterclockwise, that's tied to African Muslims. When we talk about having our heads covered up, when women, again, people not identifying, when we see Black women with their heads covered up, going to church with hats on, guess that's what that's about. It's about that you're covered, because again, what is the most sacred part of any human being? The dome. You cover up the dome. You cover the dome. You protect the dome. See, if you protect the dome, nothing can come at you. But that dome can be penetrated. But evil, negativity, yo, you got the people. So with regard to our traditions, that's what happened. They're infusing this. And so along the Savannah River, they engaged in terrorism against Black folks who are now identifying with Ethiopia as a part of their foundation. And I'll throw something out there to y'all, you know, because I know there's a lot I'm throwing out. There's this bishop that I love, and he's called the father of liberation theology. The bishop name is Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. See, if you think liberation theology, they thinking like 1900s. Bishop Turner was preaching liberation theology in the 1800s. And he had a sermon, he said that God is an African, or basically God is a Negro. God is an African. Now, some people today, they're going to say, Jamal, you know, I kind of think that Jesus had a dark hue like us. Well, I tell folks, no, you don't understand what time it is. Because what happened for some of your ancestors in the North and in the South, when some of them were holding church services at times on a Sunday, when they're holding church services, in particular, those in the South who didn't even go up north later on. But again, what happened for them in the 1800s, 1700s, what occurred when they're holding church service, they are not praising God on a Sunday. They're praising the person who held them in captivity. So can you imagine your great-great-great-great-grandmama and great-great-great-great-granddaddy praising, saying, oh, you was a good missus. Missus, I would not be able to eat if it was not for you, missus. Oh, you was a good plantation. Oh, you give me life. That's what they were doing for some of them on Sundays. They were not necessarily fully in a church. They were praising the plantation owners or the people who held them in captivity. So what happens, this is occurring for some Black folks. So guess what? Their children are feeding into this too, into that psychology. So when they now have their freedom, guess what happened? Black folks now, when they have the opportunity to praise God, like they truly should be praising God, they were not. They were not still praising Caucasians as if they were God. So Bishop Turner now comes along of the AME Church. Bishop Turner says God is an African, or basically God is a Negro. Basically God is an African. And he said that all races on the planet identify God with themselves except for the Negro. He said as long as the Negro think that God is white, they shall always think that the devil is Black and think that they favor the devil. 1800s and early 1900s, he preached that sermon. So he understood what was happening. He was at ground zero. When people say, it don't matter what Jesus looked like or what God looked like or what the color of anybody like that, that's a lie. Because again, you identify your divine with yourself. That's humanity. In fact, somebody got mad because I said this. I said that if you're African, you should identify your higher power with yourself. Caucasians should identify their higher power with themselves also. Asians should do the same thing. That's how you do it. Guess what? Before all of this, that's how we were doing it. until you not deal with the system of racism, and then y'all gotta react and be apologists for that. No, I don't see no. You identify the Most High with yourself because that's your power, and that's what Bishop Turner had realized psychologically. We have been so damaged by that, and that's why we function like that. And guess what? Some of y'all gonna get mad right now because when I go into some black churches and I see these hands coming out of a wall, Caucasian hands coming out of a wall, I'm like, oh my God. The church is 110% black. And you got a black man standing up there preaching, but then here you got these huge Caucasian hands in back of him. Insane. Bishop Turner, who's a minister, who's a preacher, who's a leader, father of the liberation theology before James Cone and all of them, he told y'all that's not what's supposed to be happening because your mind is still going to be messed up and tainted. So we must reclaim our spiritual foundation. And it doesn't matter which one you want to go to, understand that when you claim it, you do not attack other people because guess what? You will not be here if it was not for other people. Like I tell folks, check this out. Some of your ancestors that survived for you to be here follow traditional spiritualities. So you're going to be mad with them. You can't be mad with them. Some of them were Muslims. You can't be mad with them. Some of them were Christians. You can't be mad with them. You got to accept that and understand and pay homage to them. That's what everybody else does. Everybody else does it. You got days of the week named for pagans. You know, I'm just saying. Thursday. I'm like, come on now. Saturday, Sabbath. I'm like, come on now. Oh, so they paying homage to stuff, but guess what? You disconnect from it, don't even understand your own greatness and your own love for yourself and for your people and your culture and your ancestors and your God.
Goodness.
Boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's dropping gems in this thing today, boy. I'm talking about
it. Give it to the Most High. Give it to the Most High.
Yeah, man, I got to get on the road, fellas, man. Mr. Jamal, man, it was nice meeting you, man. For real, man. Very enlightening, man.
Yes, sir, brother. Glad. Yes, sir.
Hopefully we can have you back on the podcast, man. Get a little bit more of that knowledge you're kicking, because I know it's a whole plethora of stuff you got up there.
That's what we're here for. As I say, plant the seed. You can never hoard knowledge if you're an African and you're truly concerned about humanity. You can never.
Yeah. All right, Smurf, we're going to get at you. I got a couple more questions for you, Brother Jamal, then we're going to let you get up out of here, man. But that I have to sit on that for a while. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that again because that's some information you got to digest and not just think you got it because you heard it the first time. That's what I learned about, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakin and them. Like, you might heard them the first time, but you ain't get a clarified understanding until you really sit down and like dissect what they were saying. So I seen a picture of you on your IG too with brother Khalid Muhammad. How did that happen, man? How did that happen, man? That's one of the other guys that I watched for a long time before I actually got a true understanding of why they were saying the things that they were saying. But I like his teaching. So just tell me how that era was for you and how did that happen?
And I'll tell you, brother, well, it's a funny thing. I tell people, I said that we've been in this struggle, since we were kids, since we were teenagers.
Yeah.
We've been a part of this life. We've been doing this as long as we can remember. Some people say, as long as I've known him, he's had a love for his people. He has been doing what he can for his people. And I tell folks, they ask me, they say, how long when do you come into your consciousness? I say, hey, when I was 5 years old. Because I remember asking my mother a question, because I saw some things and I had a question about that. And I asked that. And so I tell folks, I say that for me was the start with regards to not being on the consciousness, having the history and all that. But the consciousness, that's when I'm like, now I'm able to look at the world and not see the world like other people see the world.
Yeah.
And so what occurred, Brother Yusuf Shabazz, Sister Estella Shabazz, Sister Estella, Bishop Estella Shabazz today, she is a councilwoman here in the city of Savannah. And Brother Yusuf Shabazz was a Chatham County Commissioner. And so here it is, we're back in Savannah, they're back in Savannah, I'm back in Savannah now because I've gone to law school. They have been working, doing stuff, and so they now create a restaurant here, and they create a newspaper. And so we were part of the newspaper called the Freedom's Journal. In fact, they have a podcast too that comes on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. And Yusuf, they started they started the second Malcolm X festival here in the city of Savannah. So
Wow.
I'll be a part of it. So we bringing speakers. We bringing Tony Martin here. We have, we got Naeem Akbar. We got Leonard Jeffries. We bring it all. We got Ace. We got all of them coming to Savannah. And so then Yusuf is also contacting, Khaled. So Doc would come here, and he see how, and this is the thing. Doc came here, Dr. Khaled Abdul Muhammad, because we call him Doc. Doc came here, and we have a program. I want to think first time, I think maybe at Savannah State. Or maybe the second time at Savannah State. But first time, we bring Khaled here at Savannah State. And so he is looking at us because he hear me talking. Brother named Najee Enzi, a writer. He hear Najee talking. Najee's also, he's safety. He's into self-defense and all of that. Same thing it came out in the very beginning. So he's hearing us now talk about this. And he already see how Yusuf and Sister Stella are. And so he not like, he hearing us. And so Khaled is like, who are them brothers? So Khaled began to take a different attitude because he was like, Savannah is not like just Savannah. Nah, Khaled is not understanding. Khaled is not coming here regularly here. So now we got him at community centers here. We got him all around. And then the thing that got me was that when Yusuf contacted me, he said, listen, what are you doing? I'm like, yo, I ain't got nothing planned. He said, Khaled want us to come handle his program. I'm like, what? So yeah, Khaled is coming into Albany. Khaled want us to come and handle his program. I said, they got brothers and sisters in Albany. He like, Khaled want us. And so that's why Khaled then realized that when you had me, Naja, Yusuf, Estella, Brother Bay, had the team of us from here, he knew that program, what was going to happen, it was going to be sharp, and we're going to get the fire. Just like how I'm giving information right now, that's the same thing. So that's when Khaled was like down. And so that's why when he's coming, so we were going to go out, we're going to sit down and go eat somewhere and stuff like that. So that photograph was that when one of the brothers like, okay, take a picture with Yavo, Brother Mustafa, who's my cousin, Brother Yusuf, myself, and Khaled. We right there at the table, and like that picture. And so I see the picture, but then what happened, had the picture at my house, then I moved, then the picture got packed up. I don't know where the picture's at. Then I saw a brother, Yavo. Yavo said, hey, I got a picture of us when we were with Doc. I was like, what? I said, you got to send that to me. So he sent it to me, he texted it to me, bam, and I went and posted it on Instagram, and that one let people know we have been involved in this for a long time. And I was surprised at the number of people when they saw it, they're like, Khaled? They're like, that's no wonder, that's why we got respect for you. I was like, man, I was like, as far as we could tell with us sitting down with Doc, and whenever he come to town, we just sit down there, like we in Albany and other places of Georgia, and we just shooting a gift and get. Now I'm gonna tell you two things about Doc. One was the depth of his information that he had. People saw, I'm gonna say this, they saw the bombast of Doc, where he was gonna say that I'm gonna go get a flashlight and put up the skirt of the Pope and flash his pedal behind. See, people see that, and people get like that. Yeah. But when you begin to talk with Doc, he understood about traditional African spiritualities. So I'm sitting there with him like, okay, when we talking about Kemet, Doc is right there. So again, no matter how others might view the Nation of Islam, that here you go, Doc. Doc is the same. We flowing. We talk about the ancestors. Doc is right there. He's throwing it out there. I'm like saying, yo, people see the bombast, but they ain't see the depths of the man that is getting that consciousness. Then one of the times, this was right after the attempted assassination of him when he got shot out there in California. Yeah. Doc, and he's in Savannah now. So people who were there at the Community Resource Center when we now have him there, and people are coming to look, they want to go see this man that, that got put out the Nation of Islam, and then they try to assassinate him and stuff like that. So they come there to the program, and Doc don't pull no punches. When I say don't pull no punches, not that he was beating up on people, he began to articulate what transpired. He began to talk about how the people who used him in their songs, in their recordings, how when he reached out to them after he had been shot, they shied away from it. So I'm sitting on the stage like, whoa, what the hell? Here go these people that y'all see right now who make movies and all this other stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Doc is like, and when I'm saying, he just saying, you know, I had reached out to so-and-so, you know, like, the brother ain't called me back. I'm saying, Doc, so-and-so ain't call you? He like, he ain't called me back. So I'm sitting right there. That's why I say, for me, I'm getting demystified with all this. That's why I tell my people that, you know, titles don't mean nothing, positions don't mean nothing to me. Because now I hear that one of the people who helped me be demystified by that is Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Because now he's talking about people that y'all see on TV, y'all see in music videos, y'all see all this right here. Y'all gonna write about them. And he's not giving the inside. And like I say, it's just, he's speaking to folks in Savannah, sharing the information. And he's not having the bombast. He's just being upfront and real. I said, I like that. I love that. Yeah. So I'm like saying, you know, and also I'm gonna tell you, when I talk about my art, I always want to go and say something else that, but I don't say it because out of respect for him. He's gonna say truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, and a cosmic connection. That's what he used to say, cosmic connection. Yeah. And so, and even when I'm saying it today, each time I want to say cosmic connection, because I always go back and think about my brother. And even right now, you know, you got me kind of moved right now just thinking about that, you know, like,
Man, I seen it, and I flipped out. I was like, I most definitely got to ask him about that, because that's something that, like I said, that's one of the first people I kind of stumbled upon when it comes to getting this information, or what they call consciousness, but I call awareness. So I tell a lot of people a lot of times, it's not woke, it's you aware. Now you're aware of the things that's around you. So
yes, sir.
My one of my friends in here, she been on Sister Soldier lately. She was like, you got to get Sister Soldier on the podcast. I was like, man, I got to figure out how to reach certain people. You can't just I can't just up and keep calling folks like that. You know what I mean? A lot of these folks kind of hidden for a reason. You know what I mean? But they're our national treasures. You know what I'm saying? People like you with groves of information that don't mind sharing, and that's what we need in the community. I had one more question, man, but you've been hitting me with so much information. I can write down something else. But last question. All these I see you attend a lot of festivals, and I seen you post one about Hinesville and stuff. That's one thing that I've recently trying to get into and find out where they're at. So how important is it for us to reach back and start digging in these festivals so we can actually learn our tradition? And I know that has a lot to do with psychological strengthening, like we kind of been talking about the whole time, about knowing where you came from and knowing what certain things are, and actually demystifying those naysay energy. People tell you about something, you go find out for yourself. You know what I mean? So like with all these festivals and stuff that's going on, I guess, how do we connect more, so to speak? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, interesting thing. This is now, so probably over 10 years ago. Some of us had these conversations going back to like 2006, 2007. We had this conversation, and we discussed how one of the ways that we were able to keep, or one of the ways that our history and our culture was being kept alive was via the festivals. That people did not realize that. So when they were holding the festival on St. Simon's Island, holding a festival, say, in Riceboro, or holding a festival in Midway, or holding a festival in Hilton Head, or holding a festival in Hampton County, or holding a festival in Bullitt County, that when we were holding these festivals, this was one of the ways that we were able to hold on to our story. And when I'm saying the cultural aspect when we are promoting it. Because what happened is that some of them might start out being cultural and providing awareness for our people, but then other people start to come in there and they start to take it away. And they take that aspect from us, and so then our people out there just floundering like a leaf in the wind. But the festivals have been one of the ways for us to keep our cultures alive in our locations and our locales. And that's why I thought it's important to do that. That's why I say, like with you, with the Malcolm X Festival, that was important, because here go Tony Martin coming here to Savannah. Tony Martin, who was the scholar on Garvey, coming to Savannah, he said when he's speaking right in the neighborhood, right in the neighborhood. We got the Malcolm Festival going on, and he said that I've been to Savannah many times in my life. He said, but this is my first physical time here to Savannah. He said, when I had to study Marcus Garvey, I must study Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, who was right here in Savannah. I'm like, yo,
that's deep right there, man.
That's right. Here go this scholar, this renowned scholar, who is conscious and who is aware, again, not pretentious. He's saying, for me to know about Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, I have to come to Savannah, Georgia, and study Bishop Turner. He said, I gotta come here. And I'm like, yo, so I'm not understanding. That's why when we're saying festivals are keeping our culture alive. So that's why I say, if you're doing something in Vidalia, make sure your element is tied to that festival. If not, just not Sweet Onion Festival, make sure a proper aspect of the Sweet Onion Festival is tied to the Africans who are there in Vidalia, because we would not have any of this today if it was not for Africans. Again, I repeat, we would not have any of this today if it was not for the Africans. Indeed. So people don't want to pay homage, so that means it's up to you to pay homage. That's why Dickinson High School, somebody need to say, hey, we need to have a historical marker here for Dickinson High School, and we need to let that be a part of it. And then if the thing say have an annual Dickinson High School reunion, festival. So then now people go and people that say, what was Dickinson High School, Daddy? So you can then go and elaborate. Somebody else going to talk about that, and then pay homage to those adults who are now about to transition, into the ancestral realm. But you at least give them those roses right now, and then let that next generation understand that, hey, the only state championship won in Vidalia was won by Dickinson High School.
Yeah.
And then people, they understand, they say that, and somebody gonna say, that was your granddaddy that did that. That was your grand uncle who did that. That was your great grandfather. So now that child, when they go to Vidalia High, that bam, they not Vidalia High, they connected to it.
Yeah.
They gonna say that I want that too. So the only championship in Vidalia, bam, comes from Dickinson High, come from the black school during the time of segregation. Now somebody else dismissed it, and then also let people know, and what is so shameful, we don't have any of the trophies because they didn't think it was important.
Yeah. So
now what that does, if people are right-minded, if they're right-minded and they have empathy, then they're gonna say we need to rectify that. But if they're not right-minded, then you know who they are, and then you're gonna expose them. Like saying, hey, to me, that shows you that you don't have our best interest, because that's not respectful. So then we don't need to support you in what you're doing. We now need to go ahead and say, hey, because we see that you're not right-minded. As I'm going to say, you don't have that taqwa. You don't have that God consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's deep, man. Yeah. I'm going to keep talking to more people, man, because that's something I didn't know. And furthermore, I grew up the road. The guy that actually won a state championship, I didn't know. He used to come out there to the park with us and shoot ball and teach us how to, shoot that jump shot. OG still waiting to this day. Like, he just can shoot. And he was one of the ones, man. He stayed, 3 houses up from me, 3-4 houses up from me. But that's something that we never talked about, or the information was never passed on. I knew he won a state championship. I just didn't know to what era and what, you know what I mean? Like, the things that were surrounding it or whatever. But that's dope, man. That's dope. I'm glad we got to chop it up.
I would say this right here. I tell people something I call spatial memory. Spatial memory. This when I tell people about spatial memory, this is what's going on. When they wipe out a building or structure that's important to you, it will become easy for you to forget, especially when they put something else in the place of it. Mm-hmm. So when they wipe out something that's important to you, a part of your story, when they get rid of it, it's easy for you to forget all about it if you don't continue talking about it. So even if they get rid of it, you still talk about it. You know why? Because the story still lives on. Mm-hmm. So that's why with that situation, what happened? They wipe out the structure symbolically, and guess what? There's many people tend to forget. So then they see no value. Then they think nothing has been achieved. I'm like, no matter where you are, greatness is around you, and that there have been achievements. You just gotta go and ask, and sometimes it's right there in your hands. The blessings in your hand, but we turn our hands over so many times.
Is that that's probably why Muslims open their hand when they pray. That's one of the things I adopted before I even understood that. It was just
Yes,
To
sir.
receive, you open your hands to receive. You can't receive blessings with a closed hand. You have to, leave them open. So when I started praying like that, people was like, "What you doing?" I was like, "Open the hands to receive blessings, man." Like,
Right, that's right.
certain
Same
stuff just
thing.
makes sense. Yeah, certain stuff just makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna adopt that into my way of life and
Right.
into my way of being." You know what I mean? So
That's
certain
right. That's
certain
right.
things make sense. Um,
That's right.
very last question, my mama just asked one. She was how do we get black people to reduce the black on black crime, or young people rather? I think that goes into a lot. Part of my answer would be a lot of that goes into financial literacy, learning how to get money, make money, and stay away from certain things. But crime is also about proximity. So if we're around those people, those are the people we're going to commit crimes on. So I don't think that'll ever stop. I think the media over exaggerates it, to be honest. So if you can die,
Well, one thing that, and we had to change the language that we use. People say black on black crime. Guess what? It is Caucasian on Caucasian crime.
yes,
It is Asian on Asian crime.
mm-hmm.
Native American on Native American crimes. Because this is what happened. People commit crimes generally with the groups of people that they are part of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, African Americans do not commit a lot of crimes against Caucasians, but guess what? Caucasians do commit crimes against African Americans. Historically, that we have seen that has been right there. But people going to make it seem like it's just pathological with black folks. I'm not saying no, that is all crime. And what you got to do with regards to crime in general is that crime is tied to opportunity, inclination, and education.
Yep.
If people don't have education, that's going to be a problem. They don't have economic opportunities, it's going to be a problem. And the inclination, all that kind of kicks in. So when you keep people oppressed, this is what happens. That is no surprise. Excuse me. Now, to lay people, it can be a surprise. But the ones who work in systems, they know. That's why they talk about the school, the prison pipeline system. They know that people do not necessarily continue the fourth grade, do not function well there. Then they know that because they're setting it up for that. When they want to discourage people, when they start to suspend children in the first grade, and I even heard some people suspending a child in kindergarten, you are now creating this opportunity for them not to be prosper, but for them not to be a part of the system. Because people don't realize criminal justice is a business. People make money off the criminal justice system, all from legal side to the maintenance of the prisons and all that. So again, you have private corporations. So this stuff is intentional. So when I create communities where people are impoverished and they have no education, guess what? I'm setting it up. So then what we often going to do, we look at the people right there, but we don't look beyond that. We're not going to say the policies that were in place to cause this to happen. And people say, well, that was personal right there. Guess what? I understand from the tests that have been conducted on rats that when you put them in environments where they don't have a lot of food, they don't have a lot of shelter, they will turn on one another.
Yep.
That's in psychology. That's tied to rats. And so we think that, oh, that's just a nice little test. They understand the dynamics that's happening right here. So we allow this to occur. And then I tell people, okay, turn the tables right now and then tell your elected officials and say, hey, improve what's going on in our communities. And some of them are going to make excuses as to not to do that. I said, that's when we begin to see a change because crime will change. And guess what? If you pay people a living wage, if people have a living wage, guess what? Something they're not going to be concerned with because now you will have crime. It will not be one-on-one personal stuff like that. It'll be tied to property stuff, everything like that. So crime will then shift to another area with regards to what goes on. But instead, we make sure that we keep the people oppressed for them to attack and destroy one another. And I tell people this, that and come back at Georgia Southern, I've used this in my classes there, and I've used this where I'm going to say that that I did this last week. 2 weeks ago, I said that you know the condition of a society based on the condition of the women.
Ooh,
and I tell people, you know the condition of a society based on the condition of the women. And I tell folks, women are the thermometer of society. If you oppress women, then that means the society is oppressive to all people. If you elevate women, guess what? The society is elevated. Women are a thermometer with regards to this right here. I'm saying for the society on how you treat your women. If you treat your women well, guess what? Then your society is going to be well. If you oppress the women, guess what? Society's going to be oppressive. And so this stuff that we see right here with regard to the crime, the destruction of our people, guess what? Elevate our women, elevate our sisters. Guess what? We won't be seeing this.
Man, yes. I agree with all that wholeheartedly, man. That's a lot of the teachings, especially when you're talking about that God by the teaching. So you can't build with a frozen earth. So they got to be open-minded as well, man. We can lift you up all day, but if you're not open-minded to receive the information, then you can't build on that, man.
But again, because see what again, I gotta make you not like yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't make yourself that you allow yourself to be frozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's deep, man. We got to have another one, man.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Cause I sure enough got a lot of questions, man. But make me want to come sit down on one of them class sessions. I need to be up in there.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you, we are going Coastal Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce, Sabrina Newby. We're gonna be doing some online class, 15-minute segment of classes. I'm gonna be doing that. You know, at her, we'll be sending that, putting that information out there. I'll be doing 50 minutes of history and culture, you know, at the site. So I'll be sending out what we'll be doing with, you know, each week, you know, 15 minutes, you know, giving culture and history with regard to that. Because again, we say some people at one school called Savannah State wanted to stop me. You know, they felt I wasn't qualified to teach, you know, the folks out there to give them the information. Because, you know, they said that, part of, again, this tied to the self-hatred, the insanity. So, and now at Georgia Southern, they gave the blessing to say, hey, would you come do some teaching for us? You know, like absolutely in criminal justice. So that's what we do. So, and Sabrina's like saying, hey, Jamal, check this out. You can do your own stuff. I'm like, that's right. So Savannah State, we don't need Savannah State like that. Bam, you can go ahead and do our own stuff. And so they give it to our people and make it even more accessible to all our people right now. Indeed. So not just in the classroom, the same things I'm saying right now. I'll be planting them seeds out there, throwing it out there, casting it out there, that even when the Negropeans and others try to come, they can't handle us. Because I got third graders who know about history and culture better than so-called experts in history and culture.
I bet they do, man. So that's something else. Let the folks know how to get in contact with you, or you know, other things that you got going on before we end this podcast tonight.
Okay. People can contact me. Day Clean HHI. That's HHI standing for Day Clean Hilton Head Island at yahoo.com. Day Clean HHI at yahoo.com. On IG, Day Clean Soul. Day Clean Soul. That's DAYCLEAN Soul SOUL. On Facebook, Amir Toure. I have two of them. Amir Toure, the one that you see with my hands in the open prayer like that, with the gold with the fire around. That's the main one right there. But like I said, I have two of them. We got some. We got to get some people off as friends, you know, so we can add some more people on as friends because we already got 5,000 there. So we got that. Also, Day Clean Soul or Amir Toure. Telephone number 912-220-5966, 912-220-5966. I tell folks it's better to text me as opposed to calling. Or the fast way is to text me with regards to that. I got some things coming up end of the week. We're going to be in Riceboro. We're going to be talking about cultivation of rice down there. We'll be doing that at Davenport House. In the month of October, we'll be doing I would say on demand video of a Yellow Fever living history program that I've co-written, you know, going on, I think 17 years, something like that, not 18 years. So we'll be doing that. You see us, and I'm giving a perspective of African and Yamacraw in the 1800s. The people see the power of that right there. Geechee Kunda, we have our museum in Riceboro, Georgia, Geechee Kunda. We say we are the epicenter for African culture in the Americas. And so our museum, we talk about it all. Gullah Geechee culture, African culture, that's what we do. Jim and Pat, the co-founders of our museum. And so I'll be at Geechee Kunda again Friday doing a taping for Riceboro and rice cultivation. But then also we're going to have our gathering, our festival. Also, that's going to be something that's going to be online. So people are going to see what we do. And they see the African spirit there. And so I'm trying to, we got some other stuff happening too. But yeah, so we always out there. We try to make sure we change this world. It's about changing policies, changing laws, changing the minds of people with regard to who believe, so they can believe in themselves and they can then take on the other people.
Indeed, indeed, man. I'm gonna most definitely stay in touch because I want to see that. Because I was talking to the young lady that I guess she took one of your classes, Miss Belva Franklin. I was talking to her one day, and I was like, that'd be a great place to start a documentary as far as like education when it comes to stuff like that. Because I got my
Yes, sir.
I got my eyes set on a documentary. I got a bunch of questions back here on one of my boards that I'm gonna ask, and it's gonna be over marriage. You know, the black
Yeah.
love thing. I think
Yes.
that's
Oh,
something
yeah.
that we need to really tap into as well, man. And I want to get a bunch of different people perspectives on it. It's just been kind of iffy. Certain people I done asked already, but I ain't gonna let that stop me. I'm gonna keep going.
Right.
You know.
Right. We don't sweat that. I'll tell you, we go forward. We don't
Yeah.
sweat that.
Yeah.
You don't let the enemy do that.
Yeah. I'm almost definitely go for it because I really feel like we don't get to see it as much, or to see it as how would I say it? It doesn't flower as much around the black community, and a lot of people don't get a chance to see it. I have. My auntie's been married 30-something years to her high school sweetheart. My mom's married 25 plus years. My uncle, 25 plus years as well. I got to see it. I know what it looks like. So I don't think a lot of other people do. You know what I mean? So that's something I wanna dive into and really, bring forth to the community as well. So.
And when I did my video, when I said that it's not my job to fight you, it's about fighting injustice. And what happened for some of us on with regard to love, that people cause us to become enemies to one another. It's not my job to be your enemy. It's not your job to be my enemy. It's for us to build. Sun and moon, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be connected. So yes.
Yes. Hey, that's something I be trying to tell people they don't catch about the sun and the moon and stars. They don't catch it. And I was like, it makes perfect sense, man. How you not catch it? Got to catch that thing, man.
Indeed.
Yeah. But, man, I appreciate you for coming through, man. It's been another great episode of Stay Dangerous Podcast, Day Clean Soul. He gave out y'all the information, man. Make sure y'all watch this video again. Make sure y'all like this video again. Even drop questions, because I'm going to most definitely tap back into the brother, and we going to get him to come back in, because it's a lot of stuff I could have touched on I didn't. We already over time, as I call it. We've been on here almost an hour and a half right now. Almost 2 hours, 1:44. So
2 hours. Yeah, he's on an hour and a half. 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah, I gotta let my brother get back to that gumbo pot he made earlier, man. I'm finna get on mine. I'm finna go get me a little snacky, get ready for work in the morning. But I appreciate you, brother. I hope all is well over on your end, and continue blessings in your journey.
Yes, sir. Same to you, brother. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Same to you. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.